Okay, there we go. Welcome everybody to Close Up Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dee Dee, and we're going to be using our trippy tripod close up today. Hopefully we will not face plant. Hey everybody. So yeah, it's been a couple minutes saying good morning to everybody before I hit record. Thanks everybody for being here and putting together a pencil and pen giveaway. As soon as the chat fixes, so I want to do a giveaway. Let's move this out of the way though. And I wanted to show you so far what we've been doing in the Imagimorphia. So I've been working on a few backgrounds since the last time we worked in this. We did some washes last Saturday. See if I can back the camera up just a little. Last Saturday, we did washes on every page except a couple of mechanical pages. But except for that, we did a wash on every single animal to start it out. Because I thought, well, let's just go ahead and get going on it, and then we can, work on the backgrounds and then the details. So I have worked on the background and a little detail on a couple that have been requested. A couple of people had asked that I do some work on the Egyptian King Tut one. So I have worked on a little bit of the King Tut one, and I'll probably work a little bit more on it. So what I've decided to do in this one, after I do all the backgrounds, well, and as I go along, that may or may not be on a show, but I wanted to go ahead and do a flip through what I have done so far. So as you know, let's go ahead and pick up the camera here so we can get a nice close-up. Okay. And what I've done is I've started on some of the backgrounds. Now remember, these are all the animals just have the wash on them right now. There's very little shading, if any, on most of them. A couple of them during the wash part, I did stop and do a little bit of shading, or adding some more to it. But for the most part, there's nothing really else done except washes, and I'm working on the background. So here's the background I've put on this one so far. Again, I started with the blue, just a nice light blue, and for those of y'all that don't know, I use Americana craft paint. No other reason than I just like Americana. That's my favorite craft paint. So all the paint that you see, when I say I'm doing an acrylic wash, it's with Americana craft paint. Because I like the coverage, I like the colors, and as you can see, I have quite a few of them. So anyway, I just like them. They're my favorite craft paint. Okay, so that being said, let's keep going. If y'all have any questions, put it in caps so I know you're talking to me. And if you're watching the recording on YouTube, this is a live show on Ustream, ustream.tv, and I'm Inkwell over there, and Inkywell everywhere else. So if you want to come over and join in on the live chat, it's free. You just sign in with a username and an email, and you can get in chat. If you're on a device, you'll probably need the app, the Ustream app. But other than that, come on over and join us. So thanks, everybody. Okay, so that's the background that I did on that. And then I just did some white acrylic paint. Now, technically speaking, you don't really want to do any kind of thing that goes over something until you've colored it in. But I got a little ahead of myself, and I went ahead and put some white clouds over that. So yeah, I guess it's pretty. Yes, I am, Jean. Okay, so then we had two intro pages. This one was the illustrated by Kirby Roseanne's, his own, little design logo thing, and I did the background. So how I did this is I painted the whole background red, Then I took a yellow and an orange and a darker red with pencil, Prismacolor pencils. And when I say I'm using color pencils, unless otherwise stated, which occasionally I will use a different brand, but very rarely, Unless I say otherwise, when I say I'm using color pencils, I mean Prismacolor. Prismacolor Premier, or well, I might be using some old barrel ones, but yeah, Prismacolor. Okay, so then I just did some yellow around. This was all first flat red right up to the edge. And remember, it's the tooth of the acrylic paint that that allows you to go over it with the color pencil and blend so nicely, and it attaches to the acrylic paint. And it will go over watercolor too, but watercolor doesn't have quite the tooth that the acrylic does. But you can color pencil on top of watercolor, but it's not the exact same. It's not the same tooth. The acrylic paint gives it a little bit of a, it's not even a roughness that is, it's not like a watercolor paper or anything like that. It just gives it enough tooth that the color pencil really will work well on, and great coverage. So then I took yellow, orange, and a darker red and kind of did like the sun effect with his initial intro logo. And then I used dark maroon, watered down dark maroon paint to do splatters on. Now I haven't done any planets or anything else yet. I'm just really kind of just starting with just an initial background. So, you know, eventually we'll get done. We'll get through this book and some of the others that we're working through. Okay. Then over here on This Book Belongs To, I sign my name on there. And again, this one is like a water scene with fish and, you know, undersea theme. So I did it in a blue, like a blue pool. So I wanted it to look like you were looking down into a pool, because they're all looking down, although there's some deer. There's a lot of fish and other things too. But anyway, I wanted it to look like you were looking down into a pool. Thanks, guys. And so I did the light blue and the dark around the edge, and I did some water splots, little water droplet splashes in there. Okay, so, and then right up in the edges here, again, I try to get as close as I can with the paint, but then I'll get in there with color pencil, you know, and where's the color? Then I'll get in there with color pencil right up in those little areas, you know. Hey, Bonnie. Anybody else I missed? Thanks for being here. Okay, so that's that page. And again, I'm going to try not to let it get too light, but I don't want it to get too dark either. Okay, so then the next page is a double page spread. And it kind of looks like a mess, but this is a jungle one. Okay, so this was his edited page, the copyright page. Get ready for an imaginative color adventure and a little bit of the write-up of the book. So I wanted you to still see that a little bit through, but I wanted to start going with the kind of a jungly theme. So even though, you know, he's got all kinds of creatures of every kind of creature and every kind of, but this one I'm going to go with more of a green. So, oh, that's all right, Jean. Oh, that's all right. So again, I did a lime green or citron green background. Then I went in with the darker green and some splatters. And then I just took a green pencil, which again, I will get in there with some darker green as well. Let me see. Let me get my dark green. Let me get a dark green. That's peacock blue. Need a dark green. Digging. Dark green. So then what I'll do is then I can get in here with dark green and closer up and start doing a little bit more shading. See, when I get to that point, when I get to the point where I'm gonna do the animals and the creatures and all. So I hope you can see that. So you can get in there and shade and blend. So this is just this method that I'm working in this particular book. In every book we might do a little something different depending on the materials we're using. Always test whatever you're going to use in the back of the book, or if there's not a back page, then the cover page somewhere. You want to test every color book, because I'm telling you, you think, oh, that feels the same as the other book I worked in. They can be totally different, and you want to make sure that whatever you're doing doesn't go through or reacts the same way to paint or watercolor or pencil or whatever it is that you're using. Okay, so anyway, so we work in different books in different ways. And this one I started with washing, and I'm going to go through the whole book. Put a wash on all the yeah, Jean loves green. Put a wash on all the animals and pretty much everything. There's a few mechanical things that we did not put a wash on over on Saturday. We spent about 6 hours, I think. So somebody will go, well, how long did it take you to do washes on all those animals? Well, it took about 6 hours, something like that. And that's just the washes. That's not including doing any backgrounds or anything. So what I've been doing is just when I have a few minutes, I'll walk by, I'll throw on a wash on one, set it aside, and I'll be working on, might be working on something else. I could be working on a portrait commission, paint some wash on it and set it aside. And so, I'm usually never working on one thing solid without stopping. Unless it's something that really has to be done. If it has to be done, of course, I'm going to keep working and working until it's done. But for the most part, I'll be working on a couple different projects, and it just breaks it up for me. I just do better if it's broken up into different. So you can see there, and you just keep, I'll just keep going around. I just want to kind of give you a little show there of how I'm doing that. But here again, so you can see where this is lighter than that. I mean, that does kind of look cool too, but I might want to get in there and do a little bit more blending or shading right up next to the... So just because you have paint on it doesn't, that's actually why I put the paint on it, is because then the pencil really works well over it. Now, I will say this, that these pages do buckle a little bit, probably more than most books with the washes. For one thing, see how big these areas are? And same thing for the animals, they're big. So you're putting a large wash over it, and so that does have a tendency to really over wet the page. Now, you don't want to oversaturate the paper. You can put like one big coat of water on there and then dry it. But if you start rubbing and rubbing and rubbing a big area that's wet, you're going to peel the paper and eventually tear the paper. I actually got a little too much water right here on the edge. And so I had to put a little piece of tape right there because it started tearing because I got it too wet, and I didn't know that there was water sitting right there, and it tore. So you do have to be careful when you use any kind of water media on your color books. Okay. Alrighty, so now back up a little and turn the page. So I did post a couple pictures, this one being one of them, on Instagram and Twitter. And I like to post the finished pages in my Facebook album. So as soon as I finish the pages, I will post them in my color book album on Facebook. My art albums are all public. I have portraits, I have fan art, I have my art desk, I have a color book album. There's a whole bunch of different albums, and they're all public, so anybody can just go to Dee Dee Willingham and see those without me following them or them following me. So you can just go, find them. And I know I have a lot of friend requests over on Facebook. I've seen so many people having had their accounts, rejoin or refollow me, and it's not them, it's fake. So I have to look at every single one before I'm going to follow anybody anymore, because I've just seen too many people, that happened to them. So yeah, so it's not that I don't want to follow you on Facebook. It's just I only have so many hours in the day, and I don't have time to go look at 50 friend requests every day. I just don't have time. So, hey, Artsy, anybody else? But eventually I'll get to the everybody. So Facebook is not my main social media. So again, if you want to talk to me or tell me something or message, you can message me on Facebook Messenger, but I'm more on Twitter than anywhere else. Twitter's where I do most of my talking. I don't know how many tweets do we have now, Jean? I think between Jean and I together and Carrie maybe, we probably have close to 500,000 or something. I don't know how many, but we talk a lot over there. Okay, so and I'm Inky Well over there too. So anyway, so what I did with this one is I started out with, I think it was, which was it? No, in primary blue. It was one of the dark blues. Maybe it was ultramarine. Was it Prussian blue? It might have been Prussian blue. Prussian blue. And I painted the whole background black. I'm sorry, Prussian blue to make it look, dark without using black. And then I went in here with a couple of color pencils. I went in here with a light blue, like a slate blue, and started. Let me try to get up on here, guys, so you can see. That's the reason I'm using Trippy, so we can get right up on everything. And I hope I'm not yelling at you. I'm really close to the camera. Yeah, I know, Jean, right? Thank you, Dragon Slayer. So then I just got in here real close up, and remember, guys, the acrylic paint takes the pencil without, I can just barely put any, pressure at all. You don't need a lot of pressure, especially if you have an acrylic background already painted on there. Okay. And so I started doing a little nebulization. I did a little glow around the geese, a little bit of a glow, but then I started going up here in the sky and just, started, making some, space debris, not debris, but, variations. And then I did a couple of shooting stars here with the white Posca. There was already a star right there, so I just used that star, made a tail, and then I took my white pencil and took the white pencil and did a little bit of glow around it like that. And so again, you can just go around the edges with the glow. And then when I get to the actual coloring of these, I'll probably get in there nice and tight with everything, right? So again, I'm just really trying to concentrate on the backgrounds right now. Although you can see I do have a blue harbor. That's the closest to a slate blue that I have here in Americana. A wash of Blue Harbor blue on the swans themselves. And we did all this. We might have already had this one done, but we did all the washes of the animals. And again, all I have on the animals for the most part is just the initial wash. No blending, no shading, no anything. Okay, so there's the background. There's the background. Oh, and then I did take my Posca pen and put some little white dots on the crown and a couple of shooting stars attached to their crown. The little crown jewels there, I put a shooting star on the crowns. So that's what I did on those. Okay? If you have any questions, put them in caps. I'm trying to, let's back up again so we can turn the page. All right, so over on this page, all I've done, other than the initial wash on the elephant of some gray, I've just painted the background black. I haven't put any stars, haven't done anything yet. I just painted the background black. And that's one of the reasons why I said I'm going to try to do a lot of the backgrounds off camera. Because, it might take me 20 minutes to do this, 15. It depends on how complicated the edges are. But it might take me 15 minutes. And, I don't know how interesting it would be to just watch me paint a black background and paint around the edge for 15 minutes. You know what I mean, Vern? What size brush do you use to paint the back? Okay. Well, at the start, Pat, I'll start with a bigger brush like this. And I love my angle brushes. Angle brushes to me are the most versatile and they're my favorite in different sizes. But angle brushes can give you a nice big flat area, and that's what I usually start with the background. Is something about this size. And then you can get pretty close up with the angle, point there. You can get pretty close up. But then I'll move on to either a couple of different things, depending on what is in the background that I have to work with. Then I might get in there with, where's the other one? I have a small, I might have put it back in here. I think I stuck it back in the jar here. Hang on, let me look. I know I didn't leave it in the water. Where is it? A smaller, well, an angle brush, or, this one's a flat, but I have an angle brush that's this size. Then I can get even closer, or in some areas that may be like about this big, then I can get in there like that with a smaller angle brush, and then I'll get in there with a pointed brush right along the edge, if need be. So I'll usually use 2 or 3 sizes, to get in there. And again, if you don't feel comfortable painting all the way right up next to the edge, get as close as you can and then go in there with color pencil. Sometimes I'll use the brush pen right up along the edge, or in tiny little areas that might be real close, like let's go down here, like this. In here, I'd probably use this, a smaller one like that, or like right in here, I might use this. But if it got real tiny, you could, I'm used to using the brush in tiny areas, but if you don't feel comfortable using a tiny brush in tiny areas, then use your black pencil, or, well, whatever color background you're using, right? Pencil, or if you're doing black, then I use a black pit pen sometimes. But most of the time, this is a tiny areas to color anyway. So if you're using a color pencil right in those areas, you're going to be used to using tiny if you're doing a page like this. Now this is the one that has a lot of requests because, and I use gold paint. And as y'all know, if you're using a shiny paint like, and I'm not talking just metallic, but satin paint or a gloss paint, your color pencils do not work over that. Like, I guess you could dig down, really, give some pressure, and you could get some pencil coverage on it. But if you're using a metallic paint, as you can see, this is shiny. Okay, so last time when we did this on Saturday, I had just done the initial wash of gold paint. And again, where's my gold paint? Here it is. I use the Dazzling Metallics. Again, it's a deco art, the same people that make Americana. It's Americana or deco art. Dazzling Metallics, and these come in silver, copper, Emperor's Gold, different shades of gold, red gold, all kinds of gold. The biggest black paper working. Who's instead of? I don't know why it wouldn't, Vaughn. It's the same. I'm thinking it's the same ink that's in the small Faber-Castell brush pen and the large Faber-Castell brush pen. I think it's the same ink. Oh, you mean for the whole background? No, it won't. The pencil's not going to work as well. Yeah. No, I wouldn't use acrylic. The brush pen for the whole background. You could test it, but it's not going to have that tooth. Markers do not leave the tooth. Okay. So on the background, so what I did with this one is when you saw on Saturday, I had just had the initial wash of gold, and then after the initial wash of gold, I went in here with a light coat of blue, with the blue acrylic. I think it was just, what was it, blue? Was it primary blue? It might have been primary blue. And so what I did is I went over the gold in those areas where you see the blue. So what that did is it covered up the gold paint. It covered up the gold shiny metallic paint with a flat wash of blue. Now you could go in there and just individually do that if you wanted to. I just started with a full-on gold wash, and then went in there with blue. Wherever I wanted the blue, I just went in there with the blue wash, because pencil is not going to go over this shiny paint. Again, you could probably bear down real hard and get it to work some, but you're not going to get blending, right? So, yeah, the acrylic paint gives it the tooth. I'm sure Bonnie, you've seen me do the test with the acrylic paint and the pencil, and how white doesn't go over a black pencil, but white will just easily, like butter, go over a black acrylic paint. White pencil. White Prismacolor pencil will go right over flat acrylic paint. So then what I did is I had the initial wash. Then what I did is I added another layer of gold. So this is going to be one where I'm going to try to move it around. So then I went in, like, let's do the face. So then I went back in. See, the whole face is covered with a wash of gold. It's very light. But then I went in with a couple more layers of gold. A couple more layers of gold to give me the shadows. I haven't got to that yet, Lynn. I haven't got to the background yet, but it's the primary blue. It's the same blue I used on him. It's the same blue, okay? It's just that this has been, I've been coloring on it. I've been coloring on this blue, and I have not colored on this blue. Okay, that's just a primary blue. Okay, so then I went around the eyes with the blue, the eyebrows, and I still have more to do, obviously. I still have more to do, but I just got I got started on, so I might work a little bit more on this, okay, today. We'll see. So then after I did the initial wash of blue in between the gold there, then I went in there with the pencil. Because now it had a regular flat blue acrylic, then I could go over, thanks guys, then I could go over those blue areas with color pencil. So what I did is I used indigo blue, blue, and white. And so you can see how that makes it look like it's dimensional. Does that make sense? Lynn's getting all ahead of herself. Hang on, Lynn. Hang on, girl. And so that's how I got the blue shading. And again, even on the metallic, I went back on the sides here and did darker gold in the ear, wherever you see the darker, and then left it lighter in the middle there to give it that shine. That's how you can get that shine like that. Okay? And then same thing. All I've done on this so far is just some blue. And the gold washes on top, just layers, gold layers. And I can even add another layer here around the hand. Yes, it's Imagimorphia. Okay, so then on the background, Lynn, I did the primary blue over the whole thing. Now, in this case, I didn't do a wash, but I did add a little bit of water to make it a little lighter. Okay, I wanted it like a modeled look. So here's a good spot. All right, so you see how some of it's lighter and darker right there. So you can add a little bit of light water to it and make it look like that. Oh, you guys are so fun. And it's kind of hard to see, but it's not a completely flat blue. I added a little water here and there to make it look dark and light, but it's just all one blue. And then I went in with the gold pen, and I used my Pentel Starburst Gold pen to do the stars in the background right over the top of the paint. I know so many people do, LG, and good morning, by the way, and anybody else I missed. And so that's what I did, the little dots for the stars and the little stars. Let's see if I can find a spot to do another little one here. And all I did was just take and put a little dot. I want to get right up on it. Just a little dot, and then just a little And just did a few of those around to give it like an extra sparkly look, you know, because of all the gold. So again, that's as far as I got on this. And it is a little hard to see the shading and things of gold in there. You can see the shine right there. So that's all that's done on there so far. Oh, and then I did do some gold lines in the beard with the gold pen too. Now I can't swear how long these pens would last on top of acrylic paint. If you use a pen like this, or you're not sure if it's conducive to going over a lot of acrylic paint, you know, like I would never write a whole, a whole sonnet on top of acrylic paint with this, but it seems to be fine if you're just doing some little dots, some little stars, and some little lines. But my thing is what I'll do is in between, like if I did a whole bunch of lines on top of acrylic paint like this, and always make sure your acrylic paint's dry. I can't stress that enough. If you try to go over with any pen on acrylic paint and it's still wet, your pen's toast. But then what I'll do is I'll just clean it off. You know, make sure I clean my pen off. This is why you see all this. This is pen and pencil. Well, that's some leftover stencil. But all this white that you see scribbles, that's me cleaning off the tip of my white pencil. When I go over a darker color and it picks up that color on the tip of the white pencil, you have to clean it off every time. Otherwise, you'll find that if you don't, where's that white, little bit of white? Let me do a little demo. Let's get, here's the indigo blue. So I'm going to put a little indigo blue down there. You won't be able to see it, but then I'm going to take my white pencil, and let's just say I had to do some shading close by or over it. Look, can you see that? That right there, if you try to go shade a face with that on there, you're going to have a blue mark on the face or whatever. So that right there is why I'm always cleaning off my pencil tip. Okay, you have to keep the white or any light color, actually. Any light color. If you pick up, a color, that will transfer immediately to your next project. So you got to keep cleaning off your pencil. It just takes a swipe to clean it off. But so there's your tip of the day. So we might work a little bit on this. The other thing that I'm probably going to do in this book for some of the details is work with the kids' Crayola markers, the super tip markers. Let me set Trippy down for a second and grab those. So I just have a set of them in here in a mesh bag. And let me pull one out without doing a face plant, Trippy. Don't face plant. They're the Kids Crayola Super Tip. And I know in Canada, I think Paula said you can get a set of, or Jean maybe will be able to tell us, of 100 on Amazon CA. But I think in the States, and unless somebody has seen them, I've never seen the set of 100 anywhere. Well, let me put that back. Let me say this. I have seen an expanded set, but they're duplicates. They're not 100 different colors. They'll have like 3 reds, 3 blues, but for 50 different colors, you can get them in the kids section of Michael's, Hobby Lobby, or Walmart for like $10. And then if you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, you can use a 40 or 50% off coupon. So you can get a set of 50 of these for $5 or $6. And they last a long time. I've got 3 sets of them. And they last and last and last. I've only used up a few. We'll have to watch the background explanation. Okay, Lynn. Okay. And so what I like about these super tip, they're called super tips. They look like this. And what's so nice about them is you can get a fat line, a wide line, a medium line just by tilting it just a little, or if you go straight on the point. So you can get all that different. You found yours at Walmart, Pat? Is it 100 different colors, Pat? Or is it a set of 100 with duplicate colors? Because if they do have them, I will go get a set of 100 different colors. Yeah, I will do that. If you found a set of 100 separate colors, individual colors. So these are awesome. Now they're water based. These are not watercolor markers like our clear brush Zig Kuretake ones, which are true watercolor in a marker. These are just water based. They're not going to blend and move and water and water them down and have it act like watercolor. They're not watercolors like the other markers are. Let me, in case somebody doesn't know what I'm talking about, these. Okay, these are the Zig, made by Kuretake, Zig Clean Color Brush, Real Brush markers. And they are a real brush. That's not a felt tip like a marker. It's a real brush. And these blend like watercolor because they are watercolor. Now, I did have somebody ask me about refills. I don't know, I've never really looked into it, and somebody may have said, are these refillable? Does anybody know? Eileen gifted these to me. It's a set of, I think, 36, and I think there's a set of 72 you can buy, but they're not cheap, guys. You're going to probably pay, $4 a marker here, and then you're paying for 50, you're paying 10, the Pro Arts on Amazon is 100 different colors for 19. Okay. Just the 50, can't find the 100. Okay, thanks, Pat. Yeah, I have not seen the set of 100 in my stores in the States. And I think Paula and Jean, I think have both ordered the 100 set on Amazon CA, Canada. But they don't have them on Amazon US for 100. But, I'm sure you can find them. I mean, they're out there, guys, I'm not out really digging and researching and trying to hunt them up, because for my color books, the 50 colors are fine. That's where I use these. I use these in the color book. So again, we might get in here with some areas with these. These are great for color book, and they don't go through. They're water based. They're not going to go through as long as you don't scribble, and make a hole in the paper. But just coloring, general coloring, you're fine with these, even in the thinner, Imagimorphia and Animorphia. Okay, Q-Bev, thank you. Got to take the puppies to the vet. The Zigs are not refillable. Thank you, Terry. I wasn't sure because I never looked into it. They asked me what markers are refillable, and the only ones I know that are refillable are the Copics, and I don't use alcohol-based markers. I'm not saying I never will, but as of right now, I'm not a Copic gal, and I say yet because you never know. Okay, so anyway, so that's the gold, and again, there's different golds that you can use. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use, this is the Emperor's Gold, and let me get the other gold. Another one of the golds is which one is this called? Splendid Gold. So you can see it looks like I have used a Splendid Gold on there because it's so light, but in fact, it's the Emperor's Gold that I used. I think. Maybe I used both. I don't remember, guys, when we did the washes. But either one of these, either one of these, or both, either one or both. So there's the Splendid Gold and the Emperor's Gold. And there's these, I love the metallics, these Deco Art Dazzling metallics, because Rabbit Trail. Let me show you a few other colors here. Just grab some. I'm probably not grabbing every one, but I'm going to show you the ones that I just grabbed here. So there's a Festive Green, and these are all metallics. Look. They're absolutely beautiful. If you love anything metallics, Kathy said. They have them on Amazon US now, 100 different colors for about $20, just like that. Okay. Well, they didn't used to, Bonnie, so thanks for looking. Thanks, guys. Cass, what did you find at Staples? I'm sorry. It scrolled off while I was over there digging through the paint. Cass found something at Staples. Was it the 100? Because I go to my Staples is right next to my bookstore. I'll look there, too. Thanks, Scooby girl. Yeah, I know, right, Carol Renee? They're beautiful metallics. And so that one is the festive green. Here is the royal ruby. It's like a copper penny. I'm telling you, it's like the exact color of a shiny copper penny. It's a beautiful copper color. And it's called royal ruby, but it's really a copper. Look at that. Let's see. Love that. Then there's rich espresso, which let me pull up the royal ruby again so you can see the difference. See, so it's almost like a bronze. I know, right, Muse? Yeah, the rich espresso is like a bronzy color. Okay, thanks, Kathy. I'll have to go look over there. And then the last one I'll show you here is shimmering silver, and there's also a white. I have a pearl. I think it's called pearl or something like that. It's a white one. And so these are really nice. I don't use metallics very often. I really don't. But I do have a nice set of those. Let's see here. Where's the white? It's a green. Okay, here's two more. So the other gold that I have here is champagne gold. Champagne gold. It's almost frosty. It's like a frosty gold. And then here is the white pearl. And so, yeah. They probably have maybe about, I've seen about 10 colors of them. There may be more now. I haven't looked for a while. Okay, so there's our little metallic update. I feel the sneeze coming on. Oh, hang on, guys. I try not to sneeze on you guys. Did your link go through? It might have gone earlier. I didn't. Prismacolor right now, I think still, guys, unless it's over. Prismacolor had I think it's 150 set. I think it was the 150 set for $100 or 101. If somebody, Terry, could you check on that? Prismacolor had Amazon had a big sale on Prismacolors, and I'm not sure if it's still going on. But if you can grab 150 of them for $101, that's a steal, guys. I'm telling you. Okay, Muse. Yeah. Hey, Terry Abrams. Peacock pearl. Ooh, I don't have peacock pearl. I bet that's pretty too. Hey, Whippy. Anybody else popping in? Pixie? Oh, thanks, Pixie Cora. That's so sweet. Oh, thanks. Are they still, is it 150 for $101, Terry? $100, yeah. So get over to Amazon if you want some Prismacolors. 150 set for $100. Yeah. That's the cheapest you're probably ever going to find them, unless you get them at a yard sale. Oh. Yeah, and I knew, Michaels was having some kind of Prismacolor, I think 40% off, and that includes open stock. Yeah, that's a good buy for open stock. So, thanks, Terry. Yeah, so there you go, guys. All right, so let's move on. I don't think I have any more back. Oh, maybe I have one or two. Let's check. I forgot. Oh, okay, yeah. So on the train, we did the wash on the train. We put a gray wash and a red caboose wash on here. So the only other things I've done is I added a brown tone wash on here. Just to, again, I didn't flat color it because I wanted the little rocks and things to show. This is like, you know, the side of the railroad. And so I'm going to want to do those little rocks and things in there. So I just did a wash there. But the background is a solid gray. Now, here's the thing. I did not worry about getting this solid. I had a little water in my brush. And I said, well, it's really not as flat as I really like it to be. But here's what I'm going to do with this. I don't care that it's not flat because I'm going to do smoke. Here, let me show you. Let me sharpen my little white pencil nub. And I got plenty of white pencils, guys. Just because you see me pick up one of these doesn't mean I don't have any more white pencils. It's just that the one that I grabbed, got my hand on was this. So it's everybody goes, oh my gosh, you need some new white pencils. I have more white pencils, guys. Y'all are so cute. Oh my gosh. Hey, LBO. So what I'm going to do with this, so I don't really care if this is not a flat, but if you don't want it to have that model look, you have to add no water. Again, on the blue with the Egyptian, I did it on purpose. I added water on purpose to make it modeled looking because I didn't want it a flat blue. So it just depends on what you're going over. Yes, the washes are acrylic woolly. Okay, so what I plan on doing here is I'm going to do smoke. Okay, so I'm going to do all kinds of, so it's not going to matter, and it actually is beneficial not to have it flat, right? So I'm not going to do it all right now, but I just want to show you where we're going with it. Okay, so that's why I'm not worried about the gray not being flat, because I'm going to end up doing a smoky background. Okay. So I'm going to be doing layers of smoke coming out of the chimney there. Or out of the train. So I don't know if you call it a chimney stack, out of the smokestack. Okay, so again, so I didn't care if my background was, you know, I almost wanted it to have that look. And then I might do even some areas that just kind of have some like random floating smoky areas like that. Same for like right in here, you know. So anyway, that's, but if you want a nice flat background, don't put any water, no water. You're trying to knit and count while watching? Oh, sorry, Muse. That may not work out so well. And and then I might just have some like coming like around and out of this background here, almost like the background is in the smoke too. That would probably be a cool effect. Let's see what we can do with that. So it looks like the whole thing is a big smoke, like a dream. See? But the reason I can go over this gray is because it's a flat acrylic paint. Okay. If you had just colored this whole thing with gray pencil, you can't do this. It's not going to give you that nice tooth. And so let's do a little bit more. And again, the book is a little puffy because of all the layers of paint and water I've added. Again, that doesn't bother me, but if it bothers you to have a puffy color book, you know, or some, what do you call it, waves to your pages because of the water, then that's technique's probably not for you. Oh, sorry, Carrie, you're having a bad connection day. So you can see there, just going completely around. I need to get another pencil. This one's now down to a literal nub. So you just continue on here. And I'll go back, you know, with more detail and better little smoke wisps and things like that. I just wanted to kind of do it quick just so you get the idea. I'm all about the ideas, guys. A lot of things we don't complete, but hopefully you get the idea. Hopefully you get the ideas, right? All right, so I would do the same thing down here on the bottom, all along the edge, to make the whole thing look like it's in a giant smoke. See where I'm going? You smell what I'm stepping in? As Denise would say. All right, so let me get a better white pencil because I know I'm going to be needing one. I'll be using. Oh wait, here's one. There's one. Oh. Here we go. All right, there we go. Now we're cooking. Yeah, it's any kind of watercolor washes or water acrylic. It's going to buckle. It will buckle. But I'm telling you, by the time you get all your layers of pencil and everything and on both sides of the page, it flattens out a lot. But the puffy, look, let me show you how puffy the book is. See how puffy it is? If you don't want that to happen, then don't put washes in this book. But I don't mind that at all. You know, I kind of think it's kind of cool. And Imagimorphia and Animorphia are two of the thinner of the color book. You know, again, guys, it just doesn't bother me to have that happen. It doesn't bother me to have puffy pages, warped pages, you know. What's going to matter is how much, where you're working on it, Wooly. Like in my backgrounds, there's hardly any water in the paint. Very little, if any. In some of the backgrounds, there's no water in them, other than just a damp brush. It depends on, you know, how wet you get things. And you always want to, if you want to layer, guys, again, I know I repeat myself on that, but if you want to layer, you want to dry in between. Because it's not even so much the water itself, by itself, that's hurting your pages. It's the water on top of water on top of water, and the rubbing that you put a hole through it. You don't want to do that. You got to treat it gently. If you put one layer of water on there, dry it. Like on the King Tut head, I put, you know, multiple layers of gold. But I dried it in between. Dry, add another layer. Dry, add another layer. Don't just get your books all saturated. So anyway, that's kind of where we're going on this one. Yeah, I don't mind a bit of, and it's really not, the page is not, I mean, I can feel a little buckle in it, but it does puff up the book. Look, see, it's going to puff up the book. So you might want to put something hard between the pages if that's, you know, again, I can feel it warped a little, but it's not like a big wad of crinkled up paper either. Yeah, I talked about all the colors I used, LBO. It's recording. Okay, so then here, this is the well, I think one of the, well, I did the spider page first. Now there is a show on this. We did, this is all a wash. This is all a wash. And then we went in here and did a little shading. This is recorded too. And we did a little bit of shading with color pencil and a little bit of Posca paint pen. White Posca paint pen for those bright whites. And then somebody else asked me on YouTube, I think it was YouTube, can you go over the white Posca pen? You cannot get rid of it 100%, but what you can do is when you can dull it down, you can knock it back. And I did that on some of this. Some of the areas, like, let's go ahead and do a little something here. Let me do a little sample. Let's just say right here, you had a little bit of highlight right there. Okay, let's just say you had a little highlight. Now you got to make sure it's dry. Again, you always have to make sure everything's dry before you try to. You're welcome, Marie. Yeah, that's a great price. $150 for $100 on Amazon. Okay, so now let me dry that just to make sure it's 100% dry. I'm going to use my heat gun, guys. I'll back up so you're not too loud. Okay, there we go. All right, so now let me get a gray, just or a blue, so because the blue will show. Okay, so hang on, guys. I'm trying to get right up on it for you. There we go. Okay, so see the blue right there? I mean the white. So if you can knock it back, you can go over it with the blue pencil. Of course, you can go over it with paint too. But you can knock it back so it's not like stark white. But it doesn't completely get rid of it. Can you see the difference? I don't know if you can see the difference. I can see the difference. It's just knocked back just a little. Maybe if I got a gray, you could see. Oh, here, let me go with a darker blue so you can see. So you can go over it. See how you can knock it back? But you still see through it. So if you don't want that harsh white, but you still want to see something there, then you can put the Posca down and then go over it. And I shouldn't have used this blue. I don't really want this color blue in here, but whatever. Yes, there was a complete wash. Look, this is a complete wash over the whole thing. This is what we started with. This is what we started with, a complete wash over the whole thing. Then we went back in here with color pencil and did this. And there is a recording with this. There's a show doing this. This bit right here took about an hour, I think. Just shading this in, I think that took about an hour. But I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it took a while, you know. But there's a show on that. Okay. Backing back up a little bit here, guys. With Trippy. All right, so let's go to the next. Okay, so you'd already seen me. This had a pink. That's a hot pink, by the way, guys. It looks kind of orangey red on camera, but it's a hot pink. And again, it's just a flat acrylic paint. And then again, the only wash we have is right here. See, we've got a little flashed out. Got a little, there it goes. There we go. So this has got a blue Harbor blue wash in the fur. Every place you see the blue. And then it's got, I just did a little wash in his tongue and on his gums of this same color too. And that's all we've done. Most of the book, guys, has no detail done in it. There's a couple spots where we've done a little detail, but for the most part, what do you usually use your white Posca pen? Yeah, add highlights. I add highlights. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just ordered 3 more from Jet Pen, so I find it, I like it. If you've seen my, I showed on my pen, pencil, tote, and cases. Trust me, I've tried every kind of white pen there is. I showed them all on that video. So that's all we've done on here. Okay, it's just some washes. I'm going through this book, guys, and just as a kind of a refresher and where we are. Okay, so I think that's all the backgrounds I have done. that I've done since the show where we did the washes. The Saturday show where I spent like 6 hours doing the washes in the whole book. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip through the whole book now, just so you can see where we have done washes. Again, there's no detail done on any of this. Okay, now this was the first page that I did in the book. I think there's a recording for a bulk of it, but I don't know if I show how I did all the stickles on the recording. But after I did all the little, I did all the, what do you call it, the web with a silver pen, and it's the silver one of these. I have the gold and the silver. I think that's what I use. I'm pretty 90% sure that I use the Pentel Sunburst Silver and went over all the web, and then I went over it with stickles. So you can see, okay, with stickles. And I left these unpainted, and I painted these little creatures in just so you could see the contrast. Now, I say this every time I show the page, when I did the, I think I did a marker, red marker for the spider, and then went over it with the stickles red. I did not let the marker dry before I went over it with stickles, and so this particular spider went through to the other side a little bit, which doesn't matter. I'll just paint over it with white paint and then, carry on. This one doesn't have any washes on it yet because I want all these balloons to be different colors. You like the sound? Maybe I should do an ASMR after this one because I have to talk about this. So anyway, this was Eileen said. All right, so first when we did these beetles, and I did them in green, I said, oh, they're Greedles. And then Eileen went, it's Hansel and Gretel. So I had to write that down. But anyway, so this is just green, 2 green washes. It's like an olive green and the citron green. And again, it's all Americana craft paints, just because I like the colors. They're nice opaque colors, even though certain colors like green, red, they're a little translucent yellow, but for the most part, and that's true of any of those colors. But, so there's a wash of the citron green and an olive green. And there's our Greedles. There's no shading in these yet, guys. Remember, there's no shading. It's just the washes. Oh, wait, let me put my note back here. Hansel and Gretel. So that's all I did on the tree so far. Oh, okay. We did do this I think I did this while we were talking too, just because I wanted to show how when you add the background, how much dramatic change it makes. And you can see I've not finished here. Maybe I'll work on this one today, just for an example, okay? But anyway, so this has a wash of the blue on the antlers and a couple sienna and maybe it was just one, just washed watered down there on the deer. And then again, I was trying to show that it doesn't matter if you go out of line. So right here, I washed right over the whole thing. It doesn't matter because you're going to paint over that flat black. And I think it was Kim that said that this is a bow. Here's a little Cupid with an arrow. And I think that's supposed to be the bow right there. So I need to really accent that with color pencils. So thank you. I think it was Kim that said that. So you can see I'm not finished going around all this with black. So maybe we'll work on this one just to finish it up so you can see. Again, I don't want to spend hours letting you just watch me outline something with black paint, but I want you to kind of get the idea. So somebody asked me earlier about the size of the brushes. So this would have probably been about the size I had done with all the background. Okay, now I'll get in there with a smaller brush or a tinier one where I can just get in there with the black paint around each thing. So thanks everybody for being here. Hey Pam, anybody else that's popped in since I said good morning, Stacks? So we're just kind of reviewing the Imagimorphia. Okay, so I'm just going to keep flipping. I'll make a crunchy sound just for those that like it. And this is a flock of birds. So I put a couple of shades of blue, and then I can go in here with markers or pencils and do the individual whatever I want on the birds. But I can leave them the blue color. I can leave all the birds blue and then even just do the background, and that's going to make those birds pop. It will make the birds pop. I mean, not literally. We did do a couple of shades of purple here with wash. So I showed you that you can start with, well, this one's even got another second coating. So once you have that initial purple wash, let it dry, or, you can add a little bit, but don't get too many wet layers because you'll be, pilling your paper. So here's it with, I think this was 3 layers of purple of the same color, the same purple, just with layers right there. This is going to be a snow leopard. So after we did the wash, I did go in here with acrylic paint just to play a little bit, but he's not near done, but it depends on the color, Woolly Girl, because the thing is, you'll be painting over the black lines again. So it's going to probably depend on the color, how many, if you can, if you had a blue shell and you wanted it pink, you're going to lose all your color book lines. To get this to a totally different color with acrylic paint, what I would suggest is penciling over it. So those are some shells there. Okay, so you're going to wash your color book, Mildred. And then we did some pink. And again, I did this extra on purpose. I went out of lines a lot on purpose because I was trying to elaborate the fact that it doesn't matter if you go out of the lines because you're going to paint over that. So I'm going to paint over that a darker color so it'll cover that. Same thing over here on the green. So it'll be covered. We didn't do anything on the feathers. It's a gray. It's going to be a gray wolf, an eagle, and a beige horse. And that's it. And also in these books, they have all the hidden, these things are hidden all throughout the book. Because if you look real close, all the kind of things that are here. Iffy, were you able to, Iffy emailed me last night, and I don't know that I got back to her in time. If y'all ever need something right away, like Iffy had a question she had on Ustream, and I emailed her back, but it was 45 minutes later. It was probably not, pertinent at that 45 minutes later. If y'all need something, a question or something right now, then Twitter is how I'll hear you. Facebook Messenger, email, I may not get those, but Twitter I'll get right. That's where I spend most of my social media on, is Twitter. Okay, Carrie. Okay, poor Carrie's having a horrible internet connection today. Thanks for helping out today, Carrie. Okay, so that is the horse. So that's everything that we've covered in Imagimorphia. Okay, so I'm going to go take a few minutes. I'm going to go back to the antlers here. I'm going to go back to this, and I'm just going to work on here for a few minutes. If you don't want to see me paint black paint around edges, then just go get some coffee. And because I'm going to start another segment, I'll save this recording and do a separate one. So just so, you know, we can just kind of chat, and I'll do a little, where's my lamp black? Where's my lamp black? Here we go. So I use coffee lids. Oh, let me get a baby wipe so I can keep my hands clean here. Take a sip of coffee myself. And then we'll do another project. We might do something in the napkin journal, or I haven't worked in the big, well, I'd have to reset my camera stuff up really for that, because that's a full desk shot for that. So anyway, I just use coffee lids, Folgers coffee lids. That's my palettes. I have stacks. I actually threw away like 2 feet. No, probably 4 feet. When Denise was helping me clean one time, 4 feet of these. I still have at least 2 feet of them up on the shelf. And so as long as they're dry, for me, as long as they're dry, I'll just re-add paint, more paint, until I get like, you know, I could actually peel that off because it's plastic. And I have done that. I've shown you how you can peel that off. Get acrylic paint skins. You may want to put your sound at, okay. Thanks, Jean. Yeah, but I always ask you guys if it's too loud. I always say, is it too loud? Let me know. So Jean's letting me know it's a little loud. Okay, is that better, Jean? If it's still too high, I'll turn it down some more. I don't know how much difference there is in black. I just pick up lamp black, ebony black. I don't know if there's much difference. Not in what I'm doing. Not in color books and collaging and art cards. Yeah, I don't care. Oh, the Liz. You'll take a few of my. Well, are you wanting the skins? I saved some for, you know, for Joycey. I used to send her some because I don't use the paint skins. I've shown you how cool they are when you peel them up. Well, what I was going to say though, as long as they're dry, and sometimes I forget, I'll have to get off the shelf another one to make sure I am actually getting a dry one, because when they're piled up here on my desk, sometimes I can't tell if they're dry. But it doesn't bother me to use one color on top of another like this, once it's dry, of course. But it is harder to distinguish colors on a black palette with colors piled up. So if you're trying to mix colors, if you're not used to it, if you don't mix a lot of colors yourself, then I wouldn't recommend using a black palette, and nor would I recommend piling up, trying to blend colors on top of other colors, because you're fighting those colors if you're not used to it. Okay, it's better now. Okay, thanks, guys. All right, so I'm just going to take, and you can see how little, I just kind of roll my brush in the paint there. And now we're going to come on down here, and I'm going to try to get right up on it. And I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to go in here and just paint around the edges. And there's no water other than my brush is damp. And sometimes I have to re-dampen my brush because the lights dry out the paint. There's something, oh, it's just paint. So I have to dampen my brush sometimes, but this is all I'm doing, is just painting around all the edges. It's a little more tricky to do the mottled look, like the blue behind the Egyptian King Tut thing that we did. It's a little bit more, because if you want it consistent all over, a mottled look with the water in it. But just to do a flat paint, just don't add any water. And you just, you know, feather it out so it's not lumpy. And that's all there is to it. Hey Mel, how you been? Welcome to the color book show. The Imagimorphia color book show today. Good to see you. You're not around much anymore. Known Mel since not exactly day one, but way back. You forget you can watch on your phone. So I'm just going to go around again. You know, it's better to have a little too much paint than not enough, because then you're scratchy. It's hard. You're having to, you know, it's just easier. It flows better if you have enough paint on your brush to flow. But, all right, let me say this. If you accidentally get it somewhere else, you can, your pencils will go over it. I'm trying to get right down on here. Let's do this right here. Your pencils will, remember, your pencils will go over acrylic paint. If you get quite a bit of paint like here in the center, and then kind of push it up to the edge, see there's more paint right there. So now I can take that paint and kind of push it over to the edge. And you do need brushes that don't have little stray hairs. If you have one little stray hair on this brush and try to do that, you're going to get a little stray hair line going right down there. So you don't want brushes that have little fuzzy hairs. That's time to turn them into, you know, scruffies or glue brushes. So again, if I start in here and get a lot of paint flowing right in there, then I can take that paint and pull it over. Pull it right up to the edge. Rather than try to blob right on the edge, I'm pulling the wet paint down. I hope that makes sense. And again, if you don't feel comfortable doing the painting this close up and tiny, then do that with your pencils. Rather than trying to get in here with a paintbrush, then get in there with a nice sharp black pencil. Okay, hopefully let me get right up on it again without getting a shadow. Hey Vicky, anybody else? Dee Dee, do you do the rest in color pencils? No, like I said earlier, maybe you weren't here yet. I'm going to do it in this book. Now, some books I've done just watercolor. Some I've done watercolor and pencil. Some I've done watercolor marker and pencil. So that's why it's mixed media. In this one, I'll probably do pencils and markers. Maybe we'll do this antler right here. Okay, let me finish painting this, and then we'll do that antler. Then I need to stop this one and make another different show. I didn't want to spend all day on this. I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of a review for you guys because I've done some background since the Saturday show. And I do need to get coffee because my throat's starting to sound scratchy. Okay. Thanks everybody for being here, hanging out. Excuse the scratchy throat. Sometimes, like I say, I sleep with the fan on my face and it messes up my sinuses like a little bit. It's not like painful or anything, but it's like, it just makes me kind of feel a little bit hoarse. But I have to have air. I have to have fan on me at night. No, Sharpies will go through. Sharpies are alcohol based. Now, Sharpie pen, like a Sharpie pen like this, you can do like some eyes and, this, I haven't found a problem. Now, I've not tried to color with these. I'll use the Sharpie pens like for a pupil in an eye or something like that, and these don't go through. But Sharpie markers are alcohol based and they'll go through. They'll probably go through almost every color book, as will Copics. Now, again, if you have a one-sided color book, like it's not a double page side, just put a cardstock between it, and you can do Sharpies and Copics to your heart's content. Because it'll go through. Just make sure you put something behind it so it doesn't go through to the next page. But alcohol-based markers, pretty much all of them will go through all color books. There may be a few exceptions, but hey, Colleen. Oh, she said Sharpies, so I thought she meant Sharpies. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to use the Crayola markers here in a minute. As soon as I finish this little area. All right, let me just do this right up here in this corner. Got a little bit. A little sharper there. Oh, okay. Thanks, Terry. Yeah. And you can do either one. If you're one that gets out of lines a lot when you do your elements, and I'm not talking about the washing, I'm talking about if you do any other painting, then do the background last, because your background will cover up. Your background will cover up anything you get out of lines with. If you do acrylic paint, I mean. You sleep with a fan in your face. Do you wake up feeling like, kind of scratchy and, you gotta. Because I don't have allergies or sinus issues. So it's just when I sleep with the fan in my face. It'll be nice when the weather cools off where we can sleep with the windows open. But that's a ways away in Georgia. That's a ways away in Atlanta. Probably at least a month. I mean, we might have a couple cool days here and there. But it's the humidity. It's the humidity in the South that's so bad. I mean, it could be 90 degrees. It's but you got 100% humidity. You go outside and you can't even breathe. Hubster sometimes will go, he reads a lot of history, and he'll say things like, "Oh, I wonder what it was like to live in this era and that era," and whatever era he's reading. He was reading something on the South one day, and the living in this kind of house or that kind of cabin or whatever. He said, "What do you think about living in those days?" I said, "What do I think about living in those days? I think about a woman in full-out skirts, long sleeves, skirts to the floor, 100 degrees out, 100% humidity, and cooking on a wood stove. That's what I think about it." I don't romanticize it. You know, it ain't, if you, let's just get real, people. Let's just get real. Um, I'll do it. It'll do both. I'll do both. I mean, I did the washes first. I did the washes before I did the background. So I'll do, it just depends on what, I don't have a hard, fast rule for my color books, guys, because, I'm the boss of my color book. I mean, it's just the truth of it. I mean, you know, I don't even like to wear shoes year round. And I know that sounds so country. Don't email me. I do not wear shoes at all unless I have to go out. I mean, in my house, doesn't matter. It could be, 100 degrees out, or it could be 0 degrees. I do not wear shoes in the house. I mean, I barely wear flip-flops when I go check the mail. I just go barefoot all the time. Now, of course, if I go to the store or something, you're not going to find me at Walmart barefoot. Just saying. But I guess, growing up in the 70s, you just you do without shoes. I can remember, I'd ride the bus downtown and with friends, and we'd be barefoot. We'd go barefoot all day. I mean, we never wore shoes. Now, of course, when you go to school, you have to and stuff like that, but yeah. Wish you could go barefoot. Yeah. No, I do go barefoot all year. You want to take your acrylic paints with you on the road? I don't take acrylic paints with me on the road. I have so many other things. I mean, if I was going to go on, it depends on how long I was going to be gone. I mean, if I was an RVer and was traveling all year round, I'd find a way to take my paints in a box. But, I don't travel like that. So, if I just go somewhere where I just need some art supplies, I'll take one of my little pencil cases with a few supplies. Or if I was going, I don't go to Denise's for long, since the kids are so much older, I don't go up there and spend a week at a time like I used to, and take a tote full of pencils. But if I just need some art supplies, then I would take, let's just say, if I wanted to work in this color book, I would just take color pencils and work on areas that need color pencil. I wouldn't take paint. That's just me. DeMonte. Well, yeah, and everybody's different, guys. Good grief. I mean, I'm not saying, you do what you want to do. I'm just saying that's what I do. I go barefoot all year. Okay, so I'm going to just work a little bit more right here. But I won't stick my feet up there because, we have art unit doesn't like to see feet. Art unit is Linda, who now runs a gallery up in Canada. Owns a gallery, I should say, not just runs one. She and her husband have an art gallery up in Canada. And if somebody wants to tell me the exact name or the link, I will tell everybody. You can go on Facebook and see it and see. All right, so now my paintbrush, I've got it crusted up too thick around the top, so I just need to clean my brush. The paint starts crusting up as it dries, so it is good to clean your brush every now and then so that you're not just getting built up dried paint, especially on these tiny brushes. The paint dries pretty quick on there, and it's gonna get built up and dry, So you get, yes, I get the washing out of the way before I travel. That's right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop because you can see we got pretty much all that. Oh, wait, let me just do right here. Let me just get the top of this antler and this little, whatever this is here. And you spend as much time or as little time as you want on your color book. You know, I like to, there's so many color books and so little time that I like to, you know, I'm working in so many different ones that I just found that the acrylic washing on the bigger elements or large areas and the acrylic backgrounds like this make it faster to get more work in more color books. But you know, nobody says you have to rush through your color books. Again, I go a little faster here because of being on camera and trying to do a, you know, trying to do a stream. But don't feel like you have to rush in your color book. Know what I mean, Vern? And it's great practice no matter what you're using. Acrylic paint, watercolors, watercolor pencils, Neocolor 2s, color pencils, watercolor markers, everything. Color books are just a great way to practice everything. Now, this little ladybug, I'm just going to leave it just enough the antennas to remind me that they're there. But a lot of times, especially like on butterflies and things, I'll just paint over the antennas and draw them in later with either a pencil or a Posca. I never feel like I have to paint around tiny little antennas. But, you know, you're the boss of your color book. Reset your sound. Oh, what buzzy. Okay. Okay, is that better? Okay. I reset it, Jean. Let me know. Yeah, sometimes that happens. We don't know why. Things just happen. We just carry on. We roll with it. Hopefully that fixed it. And there's a lag in chat, so by the time I say this, y'all have already told me 10 times that the sound is messed up. Okay, so hopefully that's fine now. I reset it. I hope y'all, let's see, I reset. Hopefully. All good. Okay, thanks, Jean. All right, so I think I'll stop. But again, all this background, so you can see how long it kind of takes just to do the black, right? How long it took me, probably what, about 20 minutes to finish filling in that. And I still have all this to do. This. Again, what I'll do along the edges, let me just quickly do this. When I do the acrylic paint along the edges, I'll take a piece of wax paper, okay, and I'll put it under the edge, and then I'll just take a larger brush. Let me find the big one. Here we go. Take a larger brush, and I'll knock you over here. Let's get closer here. And then right along the edges here with the wax paper, then you can get those, you can get larger areas, see, with the larger brush. So you don't have to do the whole thing with a tiny brush. So like that. Just so you don't, you know, get the paint on the next page or glue your pages together. So you get a big area like that, then you can go in there with your tinier brushes, you know, and get in there. And see where the brown from the wash, so So that's what I'm saying. It didn't matter if you go out of lines because you're going to cover it up. Their acrylic wash. All the washes in this book, which I did on Saturday for about 6 hours, are acrylic washes. I like acrylic washes better than watercolor washes because of the pencil on top. The pencil on top is better on top of acrylic than watercolor. Not, you know, it's not significantly noticeable on little areas, but on larger areas, it is noticeable. You can still do color pencil over watercolor washes, but the tooth of the flat matte acrylic, again, I'm using flat matte, non-gloss, non-satin acrylic paint, and I just prefer Americana. But you know, if you have another brand, then as long as it's not shiny, because the pencil is not going to take over shiny. Okay, so this all needs to be done too. That. In there, all of that. So, but I'm going to stop on the background just so you can see. And this book, I think it's a 10 by 10. It's 10 by 10, I believe. Yeah, this past Saturday, I spent the whole day Saturday washing all the animals. I washed all the animals on Saturday. They all had a wash. Okay, so guys, yes, the acrylic has tooth. Exactly, Whippy. So I'm going to go ahead and save this recording. It's about an hour and a half already. I just wanted to update you guys. Oh, I can't shut it until I hit that with a heat gun because there might be a little bit of wet paint. But this is the Imagimorphia Kirby Roseanne's, and it's just like, we'll just call it an update. And then, oh, you know what, though? I did want to do a little bit of marker. Okay, hang on. Let's just do a little bit of marker. Beep, beep, beep. We're backing that bus up just for a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of marker here just so you can see. Again, let's see. I'm not sure what color. I'm probably going to, just to show you, I'm going to, use my super tips here. And I'll get a little piece of white paper to test. I don't want to test on the blue, obviously. I won't be able to. Let me set Trippy down here for just a minute. Don't face plant, Trippy. Don't face plant. Let me reach over here for a piece of white paper. Why, I got a whole studio full of paper and can't find one little thing. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's see. I'll probably want a gray of some kind. Let's test this out. It's going on purple. I might want this, or I might want this purple. We'll see. One of these two. So you want a piece of paper to test. All right, and it's going to look different to you guys. That's going to be too purple. I need it to be more on the blue-gray side. Okay, that'll work. So it's kind of a gray. It might even be too green-gray. Let me see what other gray I have in here. Let's try this one. Okay, let's go with that. And I don't know what the names are on these. It's this color because there's no names on them. They're just the Crayola Kid markers, guys. All right, so now let's see if I can get Trippy down here. Right up on it. Yes, we know you love enabling. You and Eileen, the enabling queens. What do you... Okay, so I'm going to get in here now. And again, remember with these markers, you can get a wide tip, a medium tip, and a fine tip, just depending on how you point it. I'm going to want it very small. So I'm going to go right straight up and down, which is probably going to get in the way of the camera, but I'm going to try my best here, guys. See all those little lines? Now it's got that blue purpley wash over it already. So I'm just going to leave that, and I might go in and shade some of the little crevices after the fact. But right now, let me see if I can get Trippy right up in there without bumping him in his face. All right, so I'm just going to get in there. And you could use gel pens if you're a gel pen person. Gel pens would be good. See how tiny that is? Really, you have a website or anything? I don't know. I don't even remember your name. I think you've been here before. Do you have do you do videos? Do you have a website? What's your name? I'm trying. I have to almost go straight, straight down to get a nice point, but that's poking Trippy in the eye. Yeah, so especially if you're new here, if you want to tell us, your name or what you like to be called, or if you have a website or a YouTube channel, we're all about prying it out of you. I mean, asking polite questions. Do you have a blog or anything? You don't have to, obviously, but we just like to get to know people that come here. That's just the way we roll. Are you on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook? We will follow you, stalk you, befriend you. So I hope y'all can see those little bitty things that I'm doing here with the tip of the marker, and hopefully it's not like right in your eye. I just want to at least get this one little bit done so I can show you. I'm going to shade it. Oops, I wasn't paying attention. I put a dot there. I was watching chat. Okay, let's just keep rolling here. Gotta pay attention. All right, let me do this little bit over here. just paint over that right there. I'll show you here. All right, so there, we got that bit done. Where's my cap? So if you do something like that, you can just take a little bit of white paint, just a dot. Just paint over it, and then go back over it with the blue, or whoops, where are we? There we are. You can just paint right over any little thing like that. White paint covers up everything. Okay. All right, so now, but even with marker, guys, you want to make sure this is dry. Before you go do anything with pencils, always make sure whatever you're doing is dry. So I'm going to go ahead and take my heat gun, and even though it's just a little bit of marker, I want to make sure it's dry. And now if I want to shadow any of it, then I'll get a color. Here, let's go in with the same kind of blue. I need a little bit more gray, I think. Let's go with the gray. Okay, I'm going to just go with the 50%, I think it's a 50% cool gray. That's a blue gray. Yes, there you go, Whippy. Make up our stories. All right, so now I'm just going to kind of shade right along. Just go right over the marker there. And again, I don't know if I'm going to, like, you know, make any kind of a fog or anything around on this black background yet. But I just kind of want to give you another little thing here to... So if you want to shade some right in the little crevices of the... This one will be covered up with this antler over that one a little bit. So kind of see it a little bit, I think. Same over here. And you really need a sharper pencil than this for these tiny bits. So there you go. And if you get out of line, look, right there, see I kind of went over into the black. Then just take your black pencil and sharpen it up. Any place you might have got out of lines, or any place that didn't get quite covered up with the black, just go in there with your pencil and, you know, crisp it up. Get it nice and crispy, like that. See, like right here. I'm not that picky, but I'm doing it because, you know, I want y'all to see. You can fix things. The cool gray has more blue look, and the warm gray has more of a greeny brown color to it. Okay. All right, so there we go, guys. I think we're going to stop now. So you can see when you're not right up on it, look, you would never notice any of that little tiny things that I just fixed. But, so you can see where we're going. So all these antlers here would be done like, just like that. And I will tell you this tip again. If you do multiple pages like I do, if you don't think you're going to remember what colors you use there, and you want to, you know, you're going to finish this later, then take a Post-it note. Take a Post-it note. Well, it's better to have white if you're going to put a color on it, or just write the name, you know. But I'm just going to give you an example. You want to put the marker, and you can say what kind of marker it is, or what kind of, you know, pencil color, and you can write the name. Anyway, so if you think you're going to forget what you used and you're moving on to another page, then just write it down, preferably on a white Post-it note so you can see the true color, and so that you remember, so that when you come back to this page, you're not having to test. Not that it's a big deal. You could test 3 shades of gray marker and figure it out real quick. But if you don't want to have to try to dig around and remember what colors you were using, then write them down on a Post-it note and leave it in the page while you move on to another one. All right, guys, so I'm going to save this video. I'm not going to leave you, but if you're watching the recording, thanks for watching, and hopefully you got some more coloring tips for Imagimorphia and the same way to paint or watercolor or pencil or whatever it is that you're using. Okay. So anyway, so we work in different books in different ways. And this one I started with washing, and I'm going to go through the whole book. Put a wash on all the, yeah, Jean loves green. Put a wash on all the animals and pretty much everything. There's a few mechanical things that we did not put a wash on over on Saturday. We spent about 6 hours, I think. So somebody will go, well, how long did it take you to do washes on all those animals? Well, it took about 6 hours. Something like that. And that's just the washes. That's not including doing any backgrounds or anything. So what I've been doing is just when I have a few minutes, I'll walk by, I'll throw on a wash on one, set it aside, and I'll be working on, might be working on something else. You know, I could be working on a portrait commission, paint some wash on it and set it aside. And so, you know, I'm usually never working on one thing solid without stopping, unless it's something that really has to be done. If it has to be done, of course, I'm going to keep working and working until it's done. But for the most part, I'll be working on a couple different projects, and it just breaks it up for me. You know, I just do better if it's broken up into different. So you can see there, and you just keep, you know, I'll just keep going around. I just want to kind of give you a little show there of how I'm doing that. But here again, so you can see where this is lighter than that. I mean, that does kind of look cool too, but I might want to get in there and do a little bit more blending or shading right up next to the. So just because you have paint on it doesn't, you know, that's actually why I put the paint on it, is because then the pencil really works well over it. Now, I will say this, that these pages do buckle a little bit, probably more than most books with the washes. For one thing, see how big these areas are? And same thing for the animals, they're big. So you're putting a large wash over it, and so that does have a tendency to really over wet the page. Now you don't want to oversaturate the paper. You can put like one big coat of water on there and then dry it. But if you start rubbing and rubbing and rubbing a big area that's wet, you're going to peel the paper and eventually tear the paper. I actually got a little too much water right here on the edge. And so I had to put a little piece of tape right there because it started tearing because I got it too wet, and I didn't know that there was water sitting right there, and it tore. So you do have to be careful when you use any kind of water media on your color books. Okay. Alrighty. So now back up a little and turn the page. So I did post a couple pictures, this one being one of them, on Instagram and Twitter. And I like to post finished pages in my Facebook album. So as soon as I finish the pages, I will post them in my color book album on Facebook. My art albums are all public. I have portraits, I have fan art, I have my art desk, I have a color book album. There's a whole bunch of different albums, and they're all public, so anybody can just go to Dee Dee Willingham and see those without me following them or them following me. So you can just go, you know, find them. And I know I have a lot of friend requests over on Facebook. I've seen so many people having had their accounts, rejoin or refollow me, and it's not them, it's fake. So I have to look at every single one before I'm going to follow anybody anymore, because I've just seen too many people, that happened to them. So yeah, so it's not that I don't want to follow you on Facebook. It's just I only have so many hours in the day, and I don't have time to go look at 50 friend requests every day. I just don't have time. So, hey Artsy, anybody else? but you know, eventually I'll get to the everybody. So Facebook is not my main social media. So again, if you want to talk to me or tell me something or message, you can message me on Facebook Messenger, but I'm more on Twitter than anywhere else. Twitter's where I do most of my talking. I don't know how many tweets do we have now, Jean? I think between Jean and I together and Carrie maybe, we probably have close to 500,000 or something. I don't know how many, but we talk a lot over there. Okay, so on, and I'm Inky Well over there too. So anyway, so what I did with this one is I started out with, I think it was, which was it? Was it no, in primary blue? It was one of the dark blues. Maybe it was ultramarine. Was it Prussian blue? It might have been Prussian blue. Prussian blue. And I painted the whole background black. I'm sorry, Prussian blue to make it look, you know, dark without using black. And then I went in here with a couple of color pencils. I went in here with a light blue, like a slate blue, and started, let me try to get up on here, guys, so you can see. That's the reason I'm using Trippy, so we can get right up on everything. And I hope I'm not yelling at you. I'm really close to the camera. Yeah, I know, Jean, right? Thank you, Dragon Slayer. So then I just got in here real close up, you know, and remember, guys, the acrylic paint takes the pencil without, I can just barely put any, you know, pressure at all. You don't need a lot of pressure, especially if you have an acrylic background already painted on there. Okay. And so I started doing a little nebulization. I did a little glow around the geese, a little bit of a glow, but then I started going up here in the sky and just, you know, started, you know, making some, you know, space debris, not debris, but, you know, variations. And then I did a couple of shooting stars here with the white Posca. There was already a star right there, so I just used that star, made a tail, and then I took my white pencil, Ustream.tv, and I'm Inkwell over there, and Inky Well everywhere else. So if you want to come over and join in on the live chat, it's free. You just sign in with a username and an email, and you can get in chat. If you're on a device, you'll probably need the app, the Ustream app. But other than that, you know, come on over and join us. So thanks, everybody. Okay, so that's the background that I did on that, and then I just did some white acrylic paint. Now, technically speaking, you don't really want to do any kind of thing that goes over something until you've colored it in. But I got a little ahead of myself, and I went ahead and put some white clouds over that. Is it too? Yeah, I guess it's pretty. Yes, I am, Jean. Okay, so then we had two intro pages. This one was the illustrated by Kirby Roseanne's, his own, you know, little design logo thing, and I painted, did the background. So how I did this is I painted the whole background red, Then I took a yellow and an orange and a darker red with pencil, Prismacolor pencils. And when I say I'm using color pencils, unless otherwise stated, which occasionally I will use a different brand, but very rarely. Unless I say otherwise, when I say I'm using color pencils, I mean Prismacolor. Prismacolor Premier, well, I might be using some old barrel ones, but yeah, Prismacolor. Okay, so then I just did some yellow around. This was all first flat red right up to the edge. And remember, it's the tooth of the acrylic paint that that allows you to go over it with the color pencil and blend so nicely, and it attaches to the acrylic paint. And it will go over watercolor too, but watercolor doesn't have quite the tooth that the acrylic does. But you can color pencil on top of watercolor, but it's not the exact same. It's not the same tooth. The acrylic paint gives it a little bit of a, it's not even a roughness that is, it's not like a watercolor paper or anything like that. It just gives it enough tooth that the color pencil really will work well on, and great coverage. So then I took yellow, orange, and a darker red and kind of did like the sun effect with his initial intro logo. And then I've used dark maroon, watered down dark maroon paint to do splatters on. Now I haven't done any planets or anything else yet. I'm just really kind of just starting with just an initial background. So, you know, eventually we'll get done. We'll get through this book and some of the others that we're working through. Okay. Then over here on This Book Belongs To, I sign my name on there. And again, this one is like a water scene with fish and, you know, undersea theme. So I did it in a blue, like a blue pool. So I wanted it to look like you were looking down into a pool, because they're all looking down, although there's some deer. There's a lot of fish and other things too. But anyway, I wanted it to look like you were looking down into a pool. Thanks, guys. And so I did the light blue and the dark around the edge. And I did some water splots, little water droplet splashes in there. Okay, so, and then right up in the edges here, again, I try to get as close as I can with the paint, but then I'll get in there with color pencil, you know, and where's the color? Then I'll get in there with color pencil right up in those little areas, you know. Hey, Bonnie. Anybody else I missed? Thanks for being here. Okay, so that's that page. And again, I'm going to try not to let it get too light, but I don't want it to get too dark either. Okay, so then the next page is a double page spread. And it kind of looks like a mess, but this is a jungle one. Okay, so this was his edited page, the copyright page. Get ready for an imaginative color adventure and a little bit of the write-up of the book. So I wanted you to still see that a little bit through, but I wanted to start going with the kind of a jungly theme. So even though, you know, he's got all kinds of creatures of every kind of creature and every kind of, but this one I'm going to go with more of a green. So, oh, that's all right, Jean. Oh, that's all right. So again, I did a lime green or citron green background. Then I went in with the darker green and some splatters. And then I just took a green pencil, which again, I will get in there with some darker green as well. Let me see. Let me get my dark green. Let me get a dark green. That's peacock blue. Need a dark green. Digging. Dark green. So then what I'll do is then I can get in here with dark green and closer up and start doing a little bit more shading. See? When I get to that point. When I get to the point where I'm going to do the animals and the creatures and all. So I hope you can see that. So you can get in there and shade and blend. So this is just this method that I'm working in this particular book. You know, in every book we might do a little something different depending on the materials we're using. Always test whatever you're going to use in the back of the book, or if there's not a back page, then the cover page somewhere. You want to test every color book, because I'm telling you, you think, oh, that feels the same as the other book I worked in. They can be totally different, and you want to make sure that whatever you're doing doesn't go through or reacts. Okay, there we go. Welcome everybody to Close-Up Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dee Dee, and we're going to be using our trippy tripod close-up today. Hopefully we will not face plant. Hey, everybody. So, yeah, I spent a couple minutes saying good morning to everybody before I hit record. Thanks, everybody, for being here and putting together a pencil and pen giveaway. As soon as the chat fixes, so I want to do a giveaway. Let's move this out of the way, though. And I wanted to show you so far what we've been doing in the Imagimorphia. So I've been working on a few backgrounds since the last time we worked in this. We did some washes. Last Saturday, see if I can back the camera up just a little. Last Saturday, we did washes on every page except a couple of mechanical pages. But except for that, we did a wash on every single animal to start it out, because I thought, well, let's just go ahead and get going on it, and then we can, work on the backgrounds and then the details. So I have worked on the background and a little detail on a couple that have been requested. A couple of people had asked that I do some work on the Egyptian King Tut one. So I have worked on a little bit of the King Tut one, and I'll probably work a little bit more on it. So what I've decided to do in this one, after I do all the backgrounds, well, and as I go along, that may or may not be on a show, but I wanted to go ahead and do a flip through what I have done so far. So as you know, let's go ahead and pick up the camera here so we can get a nice close-up. Okay. And what I've done is I've started on some of the backgrounds. Now remember, these are all the animals just have the wash on them right now. There's very little shading, if any, on most of them. A couple of them during the wash part, I did stop and do a little bit of shading, or adding some more to it. But for the most part, there's nothing really else done except washes, and I'm working on the background. So here's the background I've put on this one so far. Again, I started with the blue, just a nice light blue, and for those of y'all that don't know, I use Americana craft paint. No other reason than I just like Americana. That's my favorite craft paint. So all the paint that you see, when I say I'm doing an acrylic wash, it's with Americana craft paint, because I like the coverage, I like the colors, and as you can see, I have quite a few of them. So anyway, I just like them. They're my favorite craft paint. Okay, so that being said, let's keep going. If y'all have any questions, put it in caps so I know you're talking to me. And if you're watching the recording on YouTube, this is a live show on